Alright, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about cultists, specifically how they perform in domination mode now that their summons have all been nerfed across the board. They've all been nerfed such so that when you spawn in, you don't immediately have the ability to use your summon. You have to do something to charge it up. In the case of Khorne cultists we have right in front of us, they have to be in melee combat for 60 seconds. All the tooltips are bugged. They say the cooldown is 120 seconds, it is lying to you. The cooldowns are all different. For the Khorne cultist, it is 60 seconds of being engaged in melee before you can use your summon. This kind of hurts Khorne quite a bit, especially against the melee factions, or against the missile factions, excuse me, because you won't be able to collapse gun lines as quickly. You'll have to actually just send your cultists in, get the fight going, and you'll have to take 60 seconds of melee shooting before you can drop a summon on top of them, and you'll have to find another way to actually collapse and compromise those missile units. This is doubled by the fact that they changed the way that obstruction works, so that the missile units tend to be much safer in general. So I think this is actually quite a big hit to Khorne against things like Kislev and Cathay. Those factions might have a chance in that matchup now. So against the demon factions, the more melee focused ones, I don't think this is a huge deal. Cultists are going to be in melee anyway, so they're going to charge it up pretty quickly. So I think this only really comes into play against the missile factions. All right, moving on. Next we have Nergo cultists. Nergo cultists charge their summon after 30 seconds of having their hit points below 75%. This really hurts because Nergo cultists, as many of you I'm sure know, are really, really tanky. They almost never fall below that many 75% hit points, and even if they do take damage, they get healed up very, very quickly. So it's very rare that you actually are going to get this summon off now, which is a big problem for Nergal. Because that means, same as Khorne, they're going to have a really hard time compromising missile units. Even more so, because now they're not going to be able to charge it pretty much at all. That said, I think these cultists are still very strong, especially in the melee matchups, just because of their items. I think you'll still see them all the time into things like Khorne or Slaanesh, just because these stacking debuffs are absurdly strong in a blob fight. But as far as against missile factions, I think you'll still take them probably, but just them on a steed, you might not even take the gate because you won't really see it unless you're like just sending your cultist into the missile line to get shot intentionally to charge that summon, which I don't like conceptually. I don't like that you're getting rewarded for getting shot. Because it's definitely like a play sometimes to send your cultist forward and just juke shots and waste your opponent's ammo, but now it's even easier to waste that ammo because the cultist is going to regenerate, so you're fine taking damage on it, so you're kind of getting rewarded for getting shot. I feel like that's counterintuitive, and I'm not a fan of that. But I also think it very much hurts Nergal. Because Nergal is very, very slow and won't really have a way to collapse on gun lines anymore. So I think this really hurts Nergal against things like Ogres, Kislev, Cathay. Moving on, we have Slaanesh. So the Slaanesh one is interesting because the Demonettes got buffed. So previously nobody had been really taking the Slaanesh cultists because the Demonettes just weren't a very effective unit. But now the Demonettes are buffed, and they're actually pretty reasonable in combat. So I think this summon is actually a lot more valuable. Now, the way they charge their summon is by winning melee combat, and it only takes 15 seconds of winning melee combat. The thing is, this is currently bugged, so that you don't actually have to win melee combat to charge it. As soon as you spawn in, you have a 15-second timer, and then you can summon straight away. For whatever reason, as soon as you summon in, the game thinks you're winning melee combat, so you just charge it up within 15 seconds. So Slaanesh actually got a buff out of all of this, basically. Like, the cultists were never used before, because the Demonettes sucked. But now that Demonettes are good, I think you're going to be seeing a lot more Slaanesh cultists. They're going to be really, really strong in Dom now. Like I said, doing things like I was mentioning, collapsing gun lines. That's what summons are really, really good for. But even still, just having that early summon that other demons won't have means you can win a blob fight before they even get an opportunity to summon their units. So you can go in a blob fight, summon the demons behind your opponent's blob, and just get rear charges, and now you're sandwiching them with an AP unit that hits pretty hard. Like, Demonettes, their stats are looking really good these days. I can't remember exactly what's changed, but they've gotten quite a bit better. So I think Slaanesh cultists are the big winners out of all of this. Tzeentch cultists. Their gate charges having winds of magic greater than 15 for, I believe, 30 seconds. I haven't tested this one. I think you're not going to notice this one, really. Your winds of magic as Tzeentch tend to be pretty high, and pink horrors aren't as universal as a summon. You have to find the right situation for them to actually shoot. So I think this is kind of unchanged for Tzeentch. Like, their summons are pretty much the power levels unchanged. Like, you weren't using them a whole lot before the patch because ranged units aren't as useful as a summon because they're not going to get off all their ammo. And obviously the ranged units are not useful in melee, so you don't want to summon them deep on an enemy missile unit. So I think Tzeentch really doesn't really care about this change. So, if you were using cultists before, you'll still use them. If you weren't using Tzeentch cultists before, you're still not going to use them. Alright, so that is the 4 cultists post-nerf. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. All that helps me out a bunch. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.